Welcome back, everyone. I'm Special Ed Milewski, the host of Midas Letter Live. Today, joined by
Nika Domi, and I'm filling in for James, who's away.
Yeah, and James is on the West Coast. He just sent us a nice Skype.
Yeah.
Sitting on the ocean. Looks beautiful, doesn't it?
It did look beautiful.
Looks like a place where we could get to know who we really are.
Exactly.
And he's going to join us probably in about 40 minutes. So we'll talk about a number of things. Lots of news. You know, the turnstile looks like it's getting active over at CanTrust. Mm-hmm. There's been some changes there. I guess the board ousted Mr. Peter Aceto.
Yes.
And you said somebody else?
Yes, the other gentleman resigned also, so that's what I heard.
Yeah, that's. I think it's got to happen, right? There's got to be some. There's got to be some.
They're clearing house.
Yeah, and you know, because there's going to be some penalties, obviously, and you know, it's a real fiasco, right?
Yes, and I also saw that Bruce Linton was on BNN today, and he did mention about CanTrust, his opinion. So I can't wait to watch that later. See.
Yeah, no, and you said I thought you said he said this is. I mean, it's causing.
Weary about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes everybody look over their shoulders a little bit.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And
but some companies are doing good today, actually. Yeah. So that some of them are, you know, in the red, and some actually did pop up today.
We're going to look at a lot of stocks today. We're going to do a lot of chart work. I was going to say, it looks like Curaleaf has said they're going to. What were they going to say? Do you remember? Just kidding. No, they're going to change the language on their marketing. Mm-hmm. Right? Because the FDA.
You can't use like specific words.
You can't. Like this is more like at this stage, a lot of the. I mean, we all think that there's amazing curative properties. Well, curative, get it? Curative, Curaleaf, duh.
Yeah. Words, and you're speaking about words.
Hey, there you go. Yeah, so. We got a lot, and we're going to talk about a lot of things, but let's take a look at the rundown here. And
also, I wanted to say, everybody in the chat room, contribute, tell us what you want to hear.
Sure. So we got Suzanne Garcia doing the news. We got an interview with George Robinson, RavenQuest's BioMed CEO. And then we're going to have Jeffrey Fallows, Valens GroWorks. We're going to do a lot of charts, and we're going to talk about some more psychology.
Yes, we are.
Okay, well, here's the news. Yeah, okay, well, the news isn't going to be on just yet.
No news yet?
I noticed that like APHA looks like it's rolling a bit, right?
Yes.
Did you say it was downgraded?
I saw something about them being downgraded by CIBC.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly the number, but I'm sure everybody... If you guys can help us out, maybe in the chat room.
Yeah, well, and if there's anything that you really we haven't talked about in a while, we've made a list here. But these things look like they're now in erosion mode. Like they seem like the luster's coming off the group to a degree. Now there are some that are up, but we're going to look at them.
Yeah, we'll do a lot of charts today. We have a list of tickers, and if anybody wants to throw us some tickers, let us know in the chat room.
And here's Suzanne with the news.
Here's what's making cannabis headlines today. Canna Royalty has divested its 5.1% equity interest in alternative medical enterprises for a total consideration of $6 million. As Cresco Labs is prohibited under state law from acquiring additional positions in the Florida market, this divestment was a pre-closing condition to the company's previously announced plan of arrangement, to which Cresco has agreed to acquire all of the issued and outstanding shares of Origin House. Curaleaf Holdings responded yesterday to a letter from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration that the company has addressed the issues that were raised in the letter regarding its CBD product marketing. Upon receiving the letter, Curaleaf Hemp began an extensive review of its website and social media platforms to remove all statements that the FDA identified as non-compliant. Curaleaf Hemp will continue to work diligently to ensure that information it provides to consumers on its website and social media platforms are fully compliant with FDA requirements. Organogram Holdings has entered into an advance payment and purchase agreement with 1812 Hemp. Organogram will pre-fund hemp purchases to receive access to as much as 60,000 kilograms of dried hemp flower to be harvested in calendar year 2019 for extraction into CBD isolates. Organogram is already a party to a purchase agreement entered into in January 2019 with 1812 Hemp, in which Organogram was granted a right of first refusal on 1812 Hemp's production of certain hemp cultivars. Pharmacello has completed the acquisition of all of the shares of Ubico Telemedicina. The aggregate purchase price for the acquisition consisted of 156,000 common shares and $880,000 in cash. And that's your news for today. For more of the latest news moving markets, visit Cannabis Daily on MidasLetter.com.
Yeah, so every day there's a lot of news items. We just heard from Suzanne talking about different things that were released. A couple things. Looks like Cresco, that deal could proceed now because they've the other company has divested itself of its
Yep, the
Florida
news came in today, and
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are happy to hear it because
Yeah,
I
they-
myself was also watching the company and waiting for the deal to go through. So
Yeah, OH is up 12 cents, which is nothing big. See where they made some major changes at CanTrust. Peter
Yeah.
Aceto was ousted by the board.
right,
and
and the
you
other
said-
gentleman was.
Did he resign, or
I
was
read
the-
that he resigned. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see what's next now.
Yeah, we wonder if that'll affect the Health Canada's when they come out with their recommendations, right?
Right.
I think the fact that if management steps aside, then they may not be as severe on them or as harsh with their penalties as if they stayed. Well, I
Yes,
just don't
yes.
think they could have stayed.
Fresh energy, new people, and I'm sure there's a nice enough structure built already.
Right,
So
right.
not to waste it all because I don't know. I think the supply is still needed, right? So
Yeah, and I this is a terrible thing, but I was talking to a friend of mine. He's heavily involved in another company that I won't mention, but he just said that there's some companies that are going to really benefit from what's
this-
happening to
right, because
CanTrust,
they did have a lot of
medical clients,
patients.
like 50,000 or that's what they claimed. I think that's the number I heard bandied about.
Right, so they might transfer over to other
Yeah,
companies
yeah.
that are comparable.
You know, I had a lot of good comments regarding our when we were talking about psychology.
Yes, me too. Yeah.
And you know what? Maybe we should spend some time about psychology as it relates to markets.
right.
I mean,
How important
you know,
it
when
is,
you
really.
buy a stock, you obviously want to buy it as low as possible,
Right.
and you want to sell it as high as possible.
So then how do we, I was thinking about this, this is where a lot of people have the trouble. You want to buy it as low as possible, but then again, you want to wait for the confirmation of the uptrend being established again, right? So how do we
Yeah,
kind of figure that out?
yeah. Well, I you know,
To resist the FOMO
I've sort
and
of
to...
fear of missing out. Yeah, FOMO. FOMO is a terrible thing.
Yes.
People usually are much more irritated about the money they leave on the table as opposed to losing money. But there's so many different things. You know, I used to trade a lot, and I like the action.
yeah.
It kind of makes you feel alive, but it is very difficult. If you're not a disciplined
Yes.
person, you're going to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's why there's different personalities and different types of trading and investing. right?
Styles.
Yeah, exactly.
Styles of yeah. No, I think the more you trade, the more likely you are to make mistakes but just because of frequency of transactions. If you're always trading, and I hate to say it, but I had a bit of a problem with trading. You know, it was.
Yeah. Tell us about the biggest. Okay, what's the biggest lesson you've learned?
Well, I've learned a lot of lessons, but the biggest thing I ever did was I way back, maybe back at around 2000 and maybe the summer of 2000, which is almost 20 years ago, I did something really stupid. I shorted a stock just before their earnings came out, and it was back at a time when stocks could double.
Okay.
And the stock doubled. And the company's still around. It was Rambus, but that hurt.
Yep.
That was painful. That was
especially
really
with
painful.
shorting, right? Because when people short, there's a lot more involved.
And if you look back, that stock was never higher, and I ended up losing quite a bit of money. But look,
we all have these stories.
the other thing too, like if you like an area, like if you want to be a contrarian investor, that's a different thing, because then you want to be buying things when nobody wants them. For instance, right now, if you look at junior resource companies as a category or a class, and I've seen this in print several times. They've never been cheaper relative to other companies like the S&P, FANG stocks. If you just look at the relationship between junior resource companies and other, industrials, S&P companies, et cetera, they've never been cheaper, ever. Like they're at historic. Right now, you can buy companies that have a lot of that have lots of land. The problem is, of course, when it's a small company and they've got a deposit. Like, how do you take that deposit and make it a cash machine without spending a lot of money? That's the problem. You need a lot of money to take there's a little company that we've talked about, Crown Mining. It's sitting here. There's 40 million shares. It's trading at a nickel. So they're saying the company's worth a couple $1 million. 40 million times a nickel is $2 million. They've got a copper deposit that was drilled in the 60s, 50 years ago. They've got gold and they've got silver, and it's just sitting there. Nobody cares.
Really?
Nobody cares. But
that's interesting.
Well, that's the psychology, but if all of a sudden somebody started to buy the stock and people could see it starting to move, like, from 5 cents to 10 cents to 20 cents, the actual movement, will cause other people to jump in.
Right. So do you think that with the new industries like the marijuana industry has exploded, right? It has been very, very big and impactful on the market, which is something I still really am checking myself. Am I on the right planet? Because I still can't believe what I'm seeing, right?
Yeah, well.
Do you think that because there's now more of that interest has gone in somewhere else? And Canada, for example, is not a huge population country, right? So if we're just counting on Canadian investment, right, we don't have a lot of people here to sustain so many things. So now that we have the cannabis sector, maybe some of these investors have kind of moved over, right? Because it was... Well, you can't resist it.
Because it's a new area, we're the first G1 country, or not G1, but when you talk about types of countries, like we're in the most advanced group, Canada, United States, England, like we're the first one to go make it legal, right?
Yes.
So it's an uncharted territory. But we're seeing, though, like the valuations obviously got way ahead of themselves.
Yeah, and it wasn't maybe that the follow the herd happened, right? Because some people started going in, and then more and more and more, so everybody starts following, and then it gets overcrowded.
There's a statement that you may have heard, and it's basically be fearful when others are greedy.
Oh, we all heard that one.
And
I think.
be greedy when others are fearful. So when we saw all this enthusiasm. Okay, and it carried on, and we saw companies go from Tilray go from virtually nothing to $300, albeit it only happened in one day. That's not the time to get. That's not the time to get aggressive. That's the time to start thinking, get out.
Right.
Because there's too much exuberance. There's too much. Everything is rosy.
Right, and just play it smart, because you have to.
It looks like we've got some technical difficulties. So I'm gonna put up a couple charts here, and we're gonna do some look at some charts. And I tried to get the chart of High Hampton up. It's now called Mojave Jane because they took over a company. This is a California company. Now I don't. Okay, here we go. So let me put my glasses on, and let me put up a chart here of, because they're in the middle of raising funds, and I think they've got some. You know, the market cap of this thing is down quite a bit from where it was. Here we go, Mojave Jane. So here we go. This is a 1-year chart. We're going to put up a 2-year chart. 2-year chart shows all the action you need, because this company hasn't been trading. So look, here's the blow off top, which was right at 2018, and just a minute. So there's the top, and then we had a major correction, and then we rallied back, and then that's about as high as we got. Now they did a big financing a year ago, or more than a year ago. I think they raised about 19 million. Now they're raising money, and they were going to raise it at 30 cents, and now they're going to raise it. They changed that, and I guess they're going to do it at 25. Mm-hmm. Now this company, I can't remember how many shares are out, but I believe its market cap is sort of $25-30 million, sort of in that vicinity, maybe a little less, and they're going to raise. I think they want to do $8 million at 25 cents, and there'll probably be some kind of a warrant with that. But a year ago it was easy to raise a lot of money.
Really? So it's harder now?
Well, yeah. Well, look, we saw there was a company that was going to do that convertible debenture, and that got scuttled. They said, no, we're not doing it. And then GMP is going to do a bought deal, flour, right? Flour, yep. So that they're changing, they're raising money, and yet if they can't raise money under the right terms, they raise them in, they'll change it. They'll make it more attractive because because a lot of these companies still aren't making enough money.
Right. They need to grow. They need to. Sure.
So here we are. We're at. This is about as low as this stock has been right here. Okay, and they're in the middle of raising money, and they've changed the name, and they got a number of things going.
So does that usually move the stock when they're raising money? Would that be usually what happens usually? It's never the same story, right? But what are your expectations for that one?
Well, look. I mean, they obviously feel like they raise money. I mean, the last time they issued stock, I think they did it at 60 cents. This time they're doing it at a quarter. Mm-hmm. The investors that put money in at 60, management's going to deliver. So let's see what happens. I don't know what else to say on that except. We're watching. I'm
laughing because Reefer Al Joint said Ed for president, so I congratulate you, Ed. Oh. You're nominated.
Ed for president. Thanks, Reefer Al. And okay, so let's keep going down the list. I wanted to do that yesterday. I couldn't put up the symbol, so that's done. Let's take a look at
Mary Kemp, hi Mary, and Jeff W, John Silva. They have provided some tickers, and actually you've covered what Ed already wrote down some of them. So
yeah. I want to talk about, before we get into some of these other marijuana stories, I want to talk about the S&P 500.
And that's where we should probably start.
So let's do that.
That's the big picture, right?
That's a big picture item, and I've got a bit of a news flash for everyone. Wait a minute, we gotta get up.
News flash.
Well, I don't know if it's a news flash. It's a news flash to me. That's not it. Just a minute. Yeah. So, you ever hear the expression, "The markets climb a wall of worry"?
No.
Okay, so that's something you'll hear in this business. Let me just get the chart up here.
A wall of worry.
Yeah. In other words,
Sounds dark.
there's lots of you know how in the present there's always things going on, like which is where the only place life is
Would
right
that
now, right?
have sorry, I don't want to cut you.
Yeah,
Would that
let me
have
just
something-
get
go ahead.
through this. So we've got a lot of polarization politically in the U.S. We got pro-Trump, we got anti-Trump, we've got trade wars, we've got we've got a lady in detention here who is the daughter of the founder of Huawei. Huawei, some would argue, are the leaders in 5G. There's problems with Iran in terms of this and that. There's a lot of things out there you think to yourself, well, how can the stock market go up? You got the most debt ever created. Like they're printing money with reckless abandon, fiat currencies, proliferated, 14 trillion now of all government debt is yielding negative. All these things, and you say, well, what's the big market doing? And I can say right now, this S&P 500 is the highest it's ever been.
Yeah.
Right now, it's never been higher. So
high off all the weak
market
stuff.
climbs a wall of worry. In other words, it's climbing and it's breaking out here. I want to make a couple of points. We look where the market is today, and look where it was on December 24th. December 24th. Just a minute. This system is a little bit too slow for Fast Eddie. Maybe it's not too slow for Steady Eddie. So look at that. That was December 24th. And look, that was around 2,400, 2,380, something like that. We're now at 3027. We're up 800 points. We're up 33%, roughly, a third. Third of the value is increased since the end of the year. I would have never predicted that, but I will tell you when this occurred, when this V took place, there's some people that wrote and said, this is such a rare event, and they commented and the other times this kind of thing happened, which only happened maybe twice or three times in the last 100 years. The markets went much higher, and so it looks like, and I would have said, maybe the V and then. Maybe we're coming down the other side. No, look it. We're now.
But it came right back to the exact perfect spot where
Well,
it left off.
I wouldn't say
That's
that,
so interesting.
but for instance, like this high, and that's about that's almost it took it out by a little. It corrected and made me think, okay, now we're going to get back into some of the, but no, and then here we go. Now we're.
Kept going.
Never been higher. We've never been higher. So once again, with all the things going on, all the, and there's all kinds of stuff.
So the new
China's slowing down. The Germany is now had some bad numbers come out. Their car sales
there's
are
new
dropping.
leadership also in Europe, right? There's a new
Well,
European leader and
Yeah. So anyway, we'll just move on here. And now, is there any stock I should cover from?
Well, yes, they've been asking about. Well, we could look at the Cresco and Kenna Royalty.
Okay. Well, why don't we do that? Okay. So
they
that's
have divested that.
right. Right. Let's see how the world's
asset
reacting
they
to that.
had.
Okay. So the ticker is OH, right? Let's look at OH, and we'll look at
OH.
Cresco.
Yep, that is Origin House. Also known as Kenna Royalty, which can be a little bit confusing, right?
Yeah.
But they are the same entity.
Okay. Well, the stock's up 19 cents as we speak, 684, but you can't really even see that. It's down from about 1250. So when you look, again, I'm just going to make some general comments, like I'm looking at a chart maybe for the first or second time, without really looking at too much of the news. But you got a pretty good range there, a pretty good channel. Mm-hmm. And if you looked, a couple times it sort of got ahead of itself and it came back, and then it did it again. Here it did it again and came back. But this time it sort of broke, and it looks to me this is it's a bit of a change in direction, because It's as about as severe as correction. And the other thing I point out here is that we're back to here, and it takes a lot longer to go up than come down. You come down in a month or two. It takes 4 or 5, 6 months to go up. And let's now look at Cresco. What's the ticker for
CL?
And that's the same exchange? I think so.
Yes. CL, Cresco Labs.
So that was up a little bit. I suspect Cresco CL is going to be up a little bit too. Well, so they're probably moving in lockstep because it's up 35 cents. So based on the ratio of exchange that's going to take place, provided the deal goes through, and then look, there's a change there, right? That channel has been, now it may change, but right now it doesn't look.
See, I can't see, but do they look correlated together?
Well, I somewhat. I would say somewhat. This company hasn't been trading as long, but I'll just. Okay. Now you said earlier we should take a look at. I want to take a look at APHA. We haven't talked about APHA for a while.
Yep.
I mean, they've had their. They're probably kind of excited that someone else is getting all the attention right now. So.
I don't know about that because it could be also backfiring back at them.
Yeah.
So who
well.
knows?
Yeah. Is it APHA? Is that the ticker?
Yes, APHA.
Okay, 723. Okay, well here, this is 2 years. So we got lots of, look at the moves in this thing, okay? From $5 up to $22 back in late 2017. Anyway, we got big moves, big trading with lots of action, And then, but this is when the real bad news came out. It dropped from, looks like about $10 to here, and then we rallied, counter rallied, and now we've rolled over again, and the rest of the market's not doing so well. So it's not rising tide lifts all boats and the opposite, but we're seem to be now moving into this area down in here, and this stock really hasn't been down here except for in here, back when it started. And here we are again, going back into a range that most investors probably don't want to see if they're shareholders.
Right.
And again, lots of changes, management, there's discussions about some of the people that were involved.
Yes, I think that it's still kind of following them, so.
Yeah. It's hard to get excited here, and like these charts don't want me to slam the desk and say they look very bullish. They just don't. VGW, you were talking. I want to put
Valens GroWorks.
Yeah, I think that
I've been watching them, but they usually stick around that $4, $4.20. I always laugh because they quite often park themselves at $4.20. So it's an interesting one.
Right.
So today they were at around $3.80.
Just I want to. Is that on the CNX?
And I have to say, yes, I believe so. I'm not exactly sure. I think, yeah. I wanted to say that they are doing a great job on social media. They're always posting things, so that's how I'm always seeing what they're doing.
So the chart of VGW is a much better chart than some of the ones I've just put up. Okay, so they're obviously somebody's doing something right because the investing public has voting with their money.
The sentiment is quite good. Yeah, I don't see much negative talk about them.
You can rant and you can tell me this is great, this is great, this is great. Then you put up the chart and it's going from top left to bottom right.
Yeah.
Well, there's something wrong. There's a disconnect, right, between facts and what the chart's saying. But this one, it's got a sort of lower left to upper right. So that there's a bias here. One of these days
So
I'll
from
get...
what I remember, the Valens actually has partnerships with Canopy and Organigram. So they are
Yeah, you know, again, I don't...
doing things.
You know, if you start to analyze everything, that makes me kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like you got to look at every tree in the forest. I'd rather look at the
analyze
forest. The chart's telling me that good things are going on here.
Yes.
The stock's close to its highs in a market that isn't, in a sector that isn't close to its highs. So I'm very encouraged by what I see here. Okay?
Yep, they are my favorites for sure. We also wanted to, Mary Kemp wanted to see Ianthus, and not only her, because
well,
people
we're gonna do that right now.
asking about Ianthus just because it's you know, it's low. There's no other word I could really think of right now. It's quite low.
You know that every different exchange has a different...
Referral joint. Thank you, referral joint.
Okay. Yeah, we might have touched on this yesterday briefly. So you know, look, 2 years ago, the stock's at around 260. Now it's at 360. So it's up $1 over 2 years, but look how much higher it's been. And if you look at all the volume represented by, like there's a lot of buying in here, you know, in here, you know, those are all, you know, it looks like a little distribution, doesn't it? What I mean by that is it looks like all these people that got in are now underwater.
Yeah.
You know, and
unless they had a chance to get
well,
out.
the sellers got out, the buyers get in.
Yeah, because there was a good sentiment about the company, and there still is, and I see a lot of people asking,
I know, but
what is going on with Ianthus?
Why
What
is it acting
on?
this way?
Exactly.
And we just saw Valens doing quite well. Like some of them are doing quite well, right?
Yes. Yeah. This looks like a slope down that they're ready to go skiing in the summer.
I'm gonna take a look at Oxley as well.
Yep.
Because we talked about it at quite length yesterday.
Let's see how they made it till today.
Yeah, Oxley hit 91 yesterday, and then sort of came off a bit and rallied, and it's sort of hugging that high 80 level. And so people are digesting the news. They've had another day to think about it. Let's see what they say.
Sometimes news kicks in a little bit, takes a little bit like a sleeper effect, it's called.
Yeah, a little bit of sleeper. So 2 year chart. Look at this move back in here. This may be hard to replicate. So look at that move. And then, you know, and I'm not really telling you what's going to happen, but I can.
That big move is in the same spot pretty much where everybody else is. Was that the
Yeah, you know, rising tide lifts.
Yeah.
You ever heard of that one? Rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah, I've seen that definitely.
Hey, but this just looks like it's now moving into an area where you've got a basing pattern, and sometimes basing patterns can last a lot longer than you want them to, and all you got to do is look at the resource sector.
Yeah.
I can show you basing patterns that have been going on for years, right? Well, if you're looking for things to happen quickly, basing patterns are not where you should go.
Yeah.
Because you should expect a basing pattern to continue, but when you see a definite break, that's when you go in. Okay, I'm going to put up the chart of this is just we're throwing up a bunch of.
Yeah.
I want to put up the chart for Crown Mining. We haven't done that in a while.
Crown Mining. Well, let's switch it up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's good to compare because you want to see what all the sectors are doing just to get an idea, right? We can't just have like a tunnel vision.
Well, you know what? Some sectors. Now you know what, and I'm going to put up a 10-year chart just to show you what happens when so this is Crown. This is a company that has a proven deposit in Northern California of gold, copper, silver. We know management. There's not a lot of shares. The valuation is extremely. But here's my point. Look at. I started getting involved in here, and we had a nice run up into the 25, 28 cent range. But look at. For years, it's been doing nothing. And it probably won't until the price of copper, because it's mainly a copper deposit, and as you know, copper is used in everything for transfer of energy.
Copper, yeah, I actually have some bracelets. And
therapeutic value. The Romans used to put copper coins in their drinking water.
Yep.
Kill bacteria.
Did you know that you can drink colloidal copper? I bet you didn't know that one.
I don't know very much. I know one thing. I know nothing. At the end of the day, I like this deal because I know it, and I think there's going to be we're going to visit the property at some point, but I'm not paying much attention to it right now because I want to start to see. I want to wait till there's some action.
Yes. Yeah.
All right.
Is there more charts to come?
Oh yeah,
What else
we
can
got lots
look
of we have lots of charts. So let's.
Cura?
Yeah, they came out and said. They're going to comply with what the FDA.
Yep.
They're going to go and look at all their language and all their marketing, all their products, and they're going to become compliant. Because if they don't, they're going to get in big trouble. Because the one thing we know, when big institutions or big governing bodies, watchdogs, when they get on you in the U.S., it's a lot. You don't want that.
It's not easy.
Don't want that.
And I always think about it's so easy to judge, what these CEOs are doing, what the company bosses are doing, but that's a very tough job to keep up with all these regulations, and especially that they're different in every place, right? So it must be a total headache to, keep up with everything.
Okay. Well, we got another green one here. Now this company, okay,
they were quite
we're
strong
going to
today. I was watching them in the morning. They made it back over $10.
Yeah. Well, I will say this about this company and this chart. There is something here that I can. 6 months. Let's look at a 1 year. So this company's been trading for about 9 months. It looks like, okay, and as you can see. It moves around. It got down to 850. It was as high as about 1550, but that's a definite. Let me just switch gears here. So we had some distribution here. Thing broke down a bit, and we ground.
They did have a period of time, that they were kind of.
But now all of a sudden. It gapped here on some news that came out, about 8 days ago?
That was the news where they acquired a company, the private company?
Right. Okay. Well, there. So we had a gap. So far, the gap hasn't been filled. And now, then we had the little drop in there. But a nice green candle today. It got down to, looks like $8, and it's now back to $10.20. That's a trade.
It shows that people are, people are kind of trusting in them because
they're not all bad. So we see Curaleaf just went by the screen here.
10.24.
10.24 at 43 cents. APHA.
7.23.
Okay. So I think we got a surprise visitor from the West.
Oh, we do.
With the name West. We got West
Yay.
from West, and there he is doing his chicken dance.
How's it going there, James?
Look at this.
How are you guys doing today?
Well, we're doing fine. Thanks for
asking. We made it.
Yeah.
Friday. Are you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all. Are you kidding? I see you guys talking about copper, and I think that I should be rushing out and buying Crime Mounting, except I already own like a boatload of that stock at much higher prices, I would point out, too. But I'm not selling it, Ed. You know why?
Why?
Because it's going to go higher, I think. I'm convinced it must go higher.
Well, I agree with you. I think we're getting close. But you know what? We got to wait to see some evidence.
Yeah. Don't you want to know where I am?
I want to know where you're out west.
Yes, I am. Guess
west,
where?
West is west. I'm going to say somewhere south of Portland.
Yeah, I'm actually in a place called Yachats, Oregon, not Aragon, Oregon.
Really?
Oh, what the hell's going on with this stupid piece of... Oh, fuck.
Hey, we can hear you.
What happened?
What happened? Is there a big eagle flying around there that's going to steal your microphone? Well, something's happened. We got a still of James. Still. So
He'll be back, hopefully.
we'll be back. Yeah, we'll be back. So okay. Let me. I guess we're gonna.
I'm going to check in the chat room, see what everybody's saying here. Who do we have? So,
I was going to say too, Nika, that a lot of the you ever look at the RSI as an indicator, like relative strength indicator? When it gets above 75, it's extremely overbought. And that usually suggests that a correction is close by.
Yes.
Okay. Conversely, if it gets much below 25 and it's just moving in tandem like a market mover, it's not moving because there's been a fraud or something. But if there's things get sold down to the point where they're very oversold, then they can be bought. And maybe we're getting close to that with some of these marijuana stocks, because they're
some may be over. But, oh, James is back.
James is back.
He fixed it.
Peace, brother.
Hey, Ed, I thought I thought I should give you my 2 cents worth on the cannabis stocks. Obviously, there's been a bit of weakness. The firing of Peter Aceto and Eric Paul from CanTrust has had a lifting effect on CanTrust, which is good. We saw another deal done this week by Oxley with Imperial Brands, where they have done a convertible debenture at 81 cents, which gives Imperial Brands the right to own up to 20% of Oxley. My question for Imperial Brands would who wants to own 20% of Oxley? I mean, these guys are going to take that $125 million that they're getting from $121 million, $123 million, I believe it was, from Imperial Brands. And they're going to have to give $100 million of that to the debenture holders in January 2020, unless the debenture holders convert. But the debentures conversion price is $1.55. The stock's 80 cents, and it's going to stay 80 cents probably for the rest of time. It will. I mean, I can't see what would drive it higher. Certainly, Oxley has never reported any meaningful revenue from cannabis, though they do still have a big chunk of money in the bank, like hundreds of millions of dollars. But my question is, what kind of cannabis consumer is going to want to consume cannabis from a tobacco company?
Yeah.
It doesn't really make sense. They're kind of diametrically opposed philosophically. So that deal doesn't make sense to me. The other big catalyst in the space to the downside is the FDA's letter to Curaleaf saying, hey, you can't be saying these things, you can't be making these claims about CBD, which has sort of caused a panic among anybody who's vending CBD there. They're all going over their labels now and wondering what they might have said on them that might draw the attention of the FDA.
Yeah,
so there's a lot of weakness in the space, but I think that the weakness in the space is going to yet continue. And there's this great big expectation that the CBD stocks are going to pull the thing in the other direction, which is based on nothing more than hope. And hope is one of the worst things to have in your investor toolkit. Hope belongs in a hospital. Hope belongs when you're lost at sea. But there's no room for hope in the stock market. If you're relying on hope in any way, shape, or form, you should take your money, fold it in half, put it back in your pocket. That's the only way you'll ever double it.
You might say, James, that if you hope, you're a dope.
Only a dope would hope for a reversal in the stock market.
Or maybe we should smoke some dope.
Well, as a matter of fact, Ed, today I am going to smoke some live resin in the Halo Labs Shatterizer, because I was in Baltimore yesterday. I met with Kieran Sidhu, who's the CEO. We've got big things coming down the pike in terms of the awareness programs that we're going to start running for Halo, and he gave me basically 5 samples of this live resin in the dab tab. Now, the dab tab being a precision unit that you smoke, and I'm going to record that a little later today. My brother and I are actually going to consume it, and we're going to show you the effects of the dab tab as it happens to us as we're smoking it.
Wow. So that's going to be very interesting.
Basically, we're going to get high as fuck before your very eyes.
You know, I got to tell you too, and I'm sort of admitting a bit of larceny here.
Uh-oh.
I stole a little bud from that jar of yours, and it's good. It's very good pot. Very good pot.
It is. Yeah. Now keep in mind that pot's not the super high THC that the kids all love. That's what we call adult marijuana.
Yeah. Well, maybe
so it's got more CBD than THC. It still gives you a nice little kick in the head, but it doesn't make you catatonic and introspective and antisocial and all those paranoid bad things that happen when you do just pure THC with no CBD.
No, I know.
So that's what we're looking forward to about the live resin. Live resin is obviously made from the whole plant, so it's got all the terps, it's got the CBD if there is any present in the plant, and it's a much more pleasant effect than smoking a pure THC isolate or just a high THC bud with not a lot of other stuff. And
yeah. No, this sector is taking it on the chin a bit.
It works out well.
I was just going to say the sector is taking it on the chin a bit.
Exactly where it deserves it. It does. It is. And it should. It should. There's too much money flowing into the sector, and there's not a high enough quality of deals. And the quality of deals coming to trade is going down and down and down. And so investors got to be way more circumspect, way more careful with.
Yeah. You gotta temper your enthusiasm.
Curb your enthusiasm, as Larry David would say.
Yeah.
But,
right.
So just let the audience out there know that the Midas Letter premium version is to be available as of right after Labor Day, September 9th it launches. And the Midas Letter premium version is going to feature one top cannabis pick every single month based on our roster of 50 guests per month on average that we talk to in the cannabis space. We take the very best one based on everything we've learned over 8 years of doing this.
Wow.
And so that newsletter is going to be $49 a month, $4.99 for a year. And you'll be able to log into our website and sign up for that right around September 1st. If you're on our mailing list, you will get an advance offer to get it for much cheaper than the retail price of $4.99 a year. So if you're not signed up to the Midas Letter website, go to the website, MidasLetter.com, sign up there in the box, and you are going to get a special offer as a Midas Letter subscriber.
Well, that's great.
That's some news.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exciting.
So what's for dinner? What are you having on the barbecue today?
Well, today we have some ahi tuna skewers, shish kebabs with ginger and lime. We have some marinated rosemary and garlic beef kebabs. We're going to have some roast potatoes and corn on the cob, I believe, is the order of the day.
Wow.
I love corn on the cob.
You look.
We should just
like
teleport ourselves.
Nika loves corn on the cob.
He doesn't love corn on the cob, Ed. You got a
We're
problem
flying
with corn
over,
on the
James.
cob?
Wow.
Yeah, good.
I'm worried that the big chemical companies re-engineered all the corn. I'm just a little.
You gotta go for the organic.
Wow. Exactly. We're in Oregon, where it's very easy to find good organic produce, and so obviously our corn on the cob is going to be organic, because what kind of fool would eat conventional corn on the cob in this day and age?
I think we need to find some maize.
Maze.
Yeah.
We should navigate the maze of life. Nothing but our hearts and imaginations to guide us.
Right.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we're going to carry on here.
Okay. I'm going to keep checking.
Have a fun, James.
I shall. We'll see you guys soon.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for phoning in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Well, that looks fun. I need some nature, honestly.
I know. Like
Don't you feel sometimes like you just really need some nature?
Yeah. I'll tell you, that there's a book written about our species called Sapiens, and it was written by Harari, and I probably said it before, but I think this Israeli professor made some good points. But he said probably the happiest time for our species was when we were like hunters, foragers.
Really?
Yeah, because all we did was we just took care of ourselves that day.
So we're the happiest when we're in our animal spirit.
Well, the point being, there's no mail, there's no taxes, there's no one really.
There's no emails.
There's no institutional, like the world seems to have gotten more into, slave master, through the money thing.
And especially that started with the Industrial Revolution.
Well, it probably started with farming too. Because when farming started, then the kings would come by and take their cut.
That's true.
Yeah. So and then you needed to pray for good weather.
Don't get
for
me
good
started.
weather. I know, but think about it. Like you didn't have to farm. You didn't really give a shit what the weather was doing, right? You went into the forest, climbed a banana tree. You had to worry about maybe fighting off a chimp to get the banana, but. Yeah,
My theory is that humans are the happiest when they're in their free spirit, when they're unconstrained and when they're able to just follow their path, their own individual path.
Yeah, well.
But it's not always that easy when we're, constrained by so many different forces, structural forces that are
right.
above us.
I wonder how long it's going to be before Health Canada comes out and makes an official statement. Because now that this has happened, this is probably.
Yeah.
But the stock's trading at $3, and yesterday, and again, I'm not trying to take credit for this, but I did say yesterday the candle was green yesterday. It was a nice little candle at the bottom. That's what sometimes you see is where there's not a big range, but it's a green candle. Sometimes that may be a bottom. That could be a bottom for the next month or two.
Yeah.
And hopefully, there's a point where things kick in, and we're thinking about how the space will react to edibles being allowed.
Exactly.
I know James and I have talked many times on the show that we're going to need some big event
to look
again.
Forward to.
Yeah. Like when APHA had not APHA, but Canopy had the billions of dollars put in, and
U.S. legalization is something that we've been waiting for, but to me, in my view, it's been so chunked up that it's hard to, like when we had Canadian legalization, it was that one day that everybody was looking towards, right?
Yeah.
And with the states, it's state by state and bill by bill.
Now, aren't there a couple of gentlemen they're going to bring in they're going to propose that they legalize legislation, because you can be in jail in New York and you can do the same thing in California and it's no problem.
It's
like
that's
Jesus.
unfair.
I can understand if you're talking, remember that did you ever see that thing about the guy who gets caught and he's in a Turkish jail, the something express? I can't remember it. But he was moving marijuana around.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there was the hearing on safe banking. I made some notes about that because that happened 2 days ago, I believe. And so apparently the Idaho is the strictest state about cannabis, and their chairman was opposed, but now he allowed the hearing, which is something that's quite a success. So that's what happened a couple of days ago. So I can't wait to read more about where that is at this point and what happened there. So that's the Safe Banking Act that everybody's been waiting for. So we need to look into that.
Yes. So earlier I said this again. I think when you look at what's going on in the world, a lot of people will tell you another one. Don't fight the Fed. The Fed's giving you clues. When they're accommodative, money flows. They get too tight. We saw what happened. They were getting tight. They were tightening up a bit, raising rates back in the fall. Markets just dived, right?
Yeah.
And it was like something changed. 14, I think there's around $23 trillion of central bank money floating around, and I think about 14 trillion of it now earns negative interest.
Wow.
So many people now that basically, I look at it this way. You know, these banks have printed up a lot of money. The only people that have that money are the major entities like
the banks.
Well, not the banks, but like look how much cash Apple has. Look how much cash Amazon
Yeah.
has. These companies are sitting on billions of dollars. Did you just see how much money Alphabet just made in the last quarter?
No.
$9.5 billion.
In 1 quarter.
In 1 quarter, $10 billion.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
You know?
It is. You can't even get your head around that.
Well,
And apparently, I think it was Amazon that their taxes are so low that.
well, they have. They know that. Yeah.
They know how
I mean,
to work
look,
it.
where do you begin? Where do you begin? You could have bought all the Amazon you wanted in 2003 at about $6-7 a share, and now it's $2,000 a share.
Yeah.
There you go. What do you need to know? What are we trying to do here?
Unbelievable.
It's hard to imagine how they're going to trip up.
Yeah.
Because they've got such a stranglehold on infrastructure.
Yeah.
And they've got the cash to keep their research and state of the art, the technology, and Jeff Bezos is by far now the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
He's past Bill Gates like he was standing still.
Those are some stories, just cosmic, just cosmic stories because.
Yeah, the one that kills me is that 6 or 8 people now have the same wealth as the bottom half of the world's population.
Yeah, for sure.
That's like what kind of? How are we friendly to each other?
Yeah. Yeah.
How is that like positive vibration in the universe when we got a couple billion people? And I'm not a real social, I'm not sitting here saying free this, free that. I'm just saying something seems to be.
It's a huge imbalance.
It's a huge, and again, we talk about all these things in the world, and yet markets all-time high.
Yeah.
S&P's at all-time high.
So I guess the fear is driving the market, as you said.
Well, I wouldn't say
it's worry is fear, basically.
You know what? Money is moving into. Some of these companies are so big. I think you can get to $1 trillion between Microsoft, Alphabet, which is Google, Amazon. There's about, I think. There may be 5 companies that are capped. For sure. They're $200 billion. So there's $1 trillion of companies.
Yeah.
So it's mind-boggling.
It is.
And I just see again. We talked about flour yesterday. It's $4.44.
$4.44.
So maybe some of these things have
33 cents up today.
They're exhausted on the downside, and we're going to see a bounce.
Our viewers have pointed out that high tide has made a huge move today.
What's the ticker for high tide?
HITI.
ITI?
HITI on the CSE. So at
HITI.
Yeah. At around noontime, they were at 27 cents, and right now they're at 41.
Wow. Okay. This is something
How
we
did
can.
we miss this?
Well, we didn't. You found it right here.
No, it was our friends here.
We're out of time. We got to go. Bye. No, I'm just kidding. This is good.
We're almost 1 minute.
So look. So
Time's
maybe
flying here.
if a few of these things start to show like green candles, okay, then
Also Dixie too. Yeah, Dixie.
oh,
brand.
Dixie. Apparently they've got a new process coming, right?
So their chart looks amazing today too.
Because we love our audience so much, we're probably going to stay on an extra minute or so. but look at let's okay, clear. Look at and again, I want to point out these candles. See that big wick?
Yeah.
And then that was a bit of a top, right? And then another big wick. And then they. But look at this. We had now 3 days in a row. You could have bought stock at 25 cents.
Yeah.
And now it's 41 cents. I mean, that's a big move.
So we're talking about how everything is so down.
Is there news? Is there news there? Do we know of any news?
There was some news, but I can't say what because somebody. So.
And what was the other one you mentioned?
It was Dixie.
And do you have a ticker for that?
Let me see here. DIXI.
Okay, I just want to quickly look at that one because they said something that I thought.
DIXI. And everybody come join us Monday because I'll be here again, and we'll talk more about psychology. I'll have some really cool stuff for you. So, yeah, and have fun on the weekend.
We'll get a chart of Dixie on Monday.
Yeah? Do it on Monday?
Yeah,
So-
because it's 1 minute. We've already given another minute of our
Hey, we could,
our personalities. Okay, so
it's Friday.
It's
so
Friday. Thanks for joining us.
It's an easy day.
Nika, thanks for helping me out this week.
Thank you, Ed.
We'll see you Monday.
It's been great. And we'll see you on Monday, too.
And look at, I'm just gonna, here, where's the, there it is. Halo Labs, right
Thank
there.
you to Halo Labs.
HaloCanna.com. Go to their website. They've got some great products coming out, and they've already have some great products. So there.
See you then.